there are people who I'm sure, because I do it, also look to you for insights about what's happening on the continent right now, and specifically what's happening in your home country right now. Uh, for those that don't know, give us a sense.
Well, the sense is that Cameroon is actually falling back. It's coming back. It's turning around. It's bringing its own repressed history, to the forefront. So we are sinking into a civil war. That will be the summary of it all. It is that the divisions, the split that were created between the North and the South during slavery have exploded, are exploding in front of our very eyes. At the moment, we have a president who doesn't want to go. He's losing election after election, but simply doesn't want to go. And he's backed by France. He's backed by the West. He's backed by all the possible
Wait,
forces that one
are you talking about
knows.
Paul Biya?
Yes, Paul Biya. And
For context, because I want again, my audience is from all around the world. Some have knowledge of what's happening, others don't. Uh, Paul Biya is one of, I don't think he's the oldest, but he's one of the oldest and certainly one of the longest serving heads of state uh, in the in anywhere on the planet, and including on the continent of Africa. According to reports, he won the last election. Now, sir,
so I can't stop. I stop
I know
myself
you're
from
going to
laughing.
laugh, but I have to at least acknowledge that the official election results show that he has won an eighth term, which would last until his 99th birthday.
The man has
And
never
he
won
won
an election.
one more thing, and he won with 54 percent of the vote on October 12th. I have to say that. Respond, please.
Well, the thing is that the man has never won an election since 1992. That is the first fact. And, the other is that this particular election, he didn't even there was no campaign. But the most important probably is simply the killing. He's been killing people, arresting people, throwing people in jail all around, and he's falling back into a divide that any thinking well-meaning African or even leader will warn, us against. It is from Senegal to Sudan. You have a split between the Islamic North and the Christian South. And if you have any civil war on the African continent, it is always between those two. You can go in Sudan, you can go in Chad, you can go in Nigeria. You have that line of hell, I would say. So one has to be very careful with that line. And he's fallen back into that line, and the country is sliding into a civil war simply because he doesn't want to go away. So the person who is now facing him is somebody he had thrown, in jail in 1984 when the North has erupted in a, dissident movement against him. So back then he was young, and now he's close to 100 years old, and he's still killing. So it's quite amazing to have somebody who is so, sanguinary. I would say, and I hope that the Cameroonian population will systematically rise up, which they do, and simply chase him away from power, like it happened in Madagascar, in Nepal, and in many other countries. I am totally outspoken about it. He doesn't deserve to even
Incredibly
stay one more
outspoken
day.
about this. I mean, you are one
Yes.
of the loudest and most prominent voices challenging the Biya regime. Uh, how does that position you with regard to home? I think about this because I spent a decent amount of time with Paul Rusesabagina, and I remember everything that he's sort of gone through, attempting to still advocate for home, still create peace at home while being an enemy of the state. Uh, how have you been positioned?
Well, I was in prison in Cameroon. I was expelled, and I'm sitting here on my chair of exile, in house of exile. I These are chapters of suffering, but I prefer to think about the suffering of other people, because those who are in prison now are those who suffer the most, and prisons are really full. Prisons are really full. Those who are killed, you have the looting, the burning, the raping, and it is endless what a man can do to stay in power. It is also unfortunate that the West doesn't talk a lot about it, because it deserves to be talked about. The reason we know is that Paul Biya is a president who is always in suit, in French suit, because he is a French puppet. So therefore, France cannot, stand against him, or the West cannot stand against him because it is a Western puppet. But the price for, oppression, the price that Africans pay, who live under oppression is so heavy and is so high uh, that one cannot really quantify it. It's not only, the killing, the burning, the raping, the looting, the destruction. It is an amazingly high price. I simply would like to fall back on writing one's, the memoir of my own childhood. I do it, and I did it really to have people remember that we have moments of happiness, that we have moments of joy, and that
Well,
each
let me let me
time,
let me let me ask you about that because you are talking about your childhood. The median age in Cameroon, I believe, at least in the last couple of years, was somewhere around 18, 18.2.
yes, yes.
There's a lot of young people who are going through childhood right now, who are just entering adulthood. Uh, is the childhood that you're depicting in your literature vastly different than the childhood that's being experienced by those who have lived under the thumb of the Biya regime since 1982, and certainly in the last 15 years, where we've seen considerable amount of intense struggle and repression?
There, for anyone, I suspect there is the constant vigilance of one's parents, and their vigilance means they make sure that one has a childhood, and I did have a childhood. Um, Bia came to power when I was 14 years old. You cannot imagine it, and I decided to stop when I was actually 12 years old. That's when he came to power, and I decided to stop my memoir when I was 14 years old. With the coup, during which the North was, had an attempt, a political attempt of a comeback, and people were killed, massacred, etc. So I stopped at that particular moment. To your question, I will say that. Parents actually always make sure, and that's why they are parents, that children have a childhood, that children have that moment of happiness. And my parents actually made sure that I had a happy childhood, that I had moments of happiness. And I suspect it is the case for parents even today, that even though the regime lasted so long, I suspect it is also one of the duties of parents to make sure that children have their moment of happiness, their moment of childhood, that they actually have a childhood. And I am sure, many parents make sure, it happens in Cameroon. And I wanted to underline, that particular segment of life, that particular moment where an adult is structured, because it would be quite unfortunate if we were structured only in violence. And I suspect a structuring of a human in love, in care, in safety, in home safety is probably the best ferment for an adult who will show courage later on in life. And these are the few things that made me become the person that I am. Who I'm not saying that I'm fearful. I'm just saying that I tend to face the brutality of the regime we have in Cameroon today with a smile, because I know that I have resources. I have a cultural background. I have a family background. I have a particular archive of happiness that
Mm.
informs my own actions on a daily basis.
I'm going. I love that. If you haven't written that down, I'm going to write it down and send it to you so you can put it somewhere. An archive of happiness. I love that. I love that thought. Before you go, my last question to you is about the repression you're facing at home. You talked about, again, enemy of the state. You're in exile in 2017. Maybe they took your passport.
Yes, they did. Yes, they are capable of, I'm laughing because the passport is nothing compared to somebody's lost life.
Right.
A
And you have dual
passport
citizenship,
is,
so it doesn't actually preclude you from travel. You're you're you-
yes,
you're relatively okay. The reason I was asking about the passport though was more of what it signifies. As of now, home is merely an abstract idea
it
for
is an
you.
abstract idea. Yeah, it is. But home is never abstract. Home is a spirit, home is a mind, home is a dream. Home is not necessarily the place, the place where you live or the place of your birth, because these are accidents. These are essentially moments that were not of your choosing. Home is the place where you have friends, people who love you, and it is a construct. Um, and that is the way I look at it. But at the same time, home is literature for me, and it is the amount of books I've written. I write about one single city, Yaoundé. It is the
Yeah.
place where I was born. And so I don't necessarily read my books, again after they are published, but I happen to do readings here and there. And each time I read a page, out of a book, a novel, or whatever, that is my home. I simply start laughing or thinking or dreaming or, simply sleeping, because I am at home in books, and I am at home in the constitution of letters, 26 letters that, build up uh, you know, my own literature.
Well, I hope that home will not merely be an abstract idea, but at one point will be a material reality for you.
Thank
Because
you.
I believe for that to happen, there has to be a successful liberation struggle. There has to be a successful
Yes.
removal of of despotic power. There has to be a collective liberation for you to return home. And so I hope and I wish that not just for you, but for all of your people.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Home is freedom, indeed.
Indeed. This has been a great conversation. I am so excited to tell everyone once more time to check out Scale Boy, the latest book by Patrice Nganang. But check out all of his literature because it is all incredibly powerful, incredibly compelling, incredibly enlightening, transformative even. I'm grateful for him for spending some time with me. Professor, thank you for joining us today.